Next
Mm,
season, in all honesty, like it's starting to become a lot more clear, which is great, but it's taken a
good.
very long time and it's actually been a very frustrating process. I was so good in the sense that she never told me what to do, but she was kind of like implying, not, oh, yeah, kind of implying like, how good would it be if you can get the best of both worlds? And we are like, right, okay,
Mm.
let's make this happen. But the idea that I can do both is so special. And the fact that I've had people working so hard behind the scenes to potentially make that happen, like it's based on selection now, but yeah, it could be a very busy second half of the year, but very exciting and one in a position that I'm very grateful to be in for sure.
Well, kia ora, Netball Scoop whānau, and welcome back to the Sporting Scoop. I mean, this is pretty special episode today, as this is a lead-in to the Netball Youth Cup, and I mean, I'm very excited that I get to talk to a current Silver Fern, a grand finalist with the Central Pulse, and also potentially the most experienced netballer we have actually going to this tournament. So, please welcome Amelia Walmsley. Amelia, how are we doing today?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm currently in Auckland and it's a beautiful day, so nothing to complain about.
Oh, love it, love it. And I mean, you must be there already starting to do a little bit of work for the Netball World Youth Cup. And I mean, congratulations as well. You made the Silver Fern squad this week. So I know that this is a huge year for your netball. So kind of how good is it that you've almost already been rewarded with that Silver Ferns naming?
Yeah, I feel super grateful to be named in that squad again this year. I think, yeah, I worked really, really hard this season, among the other ones in the previous seasons as well, but this season especially, to try and put my best foot forward to make myself available for that Ferns squad and also for that World Youth Cup space, in that World Youth Cup space as well. So yeah, super grateful and just, yeah, happy to be in that space again.
Yeah, and I mean, after that ANZ Premiership season you had, there was like this massive growth, I think, that a lot of us saw in your game. And like, a few little stats just to throw in. You're the highest volume shooter by nearly 100 goals this season. You improved your shooting accuracy by nearly 13%, going from 83.8 last season to 96.1. So that's like a massive growth. So kind of, what do you think you did during the preseason, with your stuff at Silver Ferns as well last year to improve your accuracy and that overall efficiency on court?
Yeah, I think it was definitely one of my main focuses, transferring it across from that Fern space in the international season last year to then carry it across into the ANZ season this year as well. I get to work really closely with Vicky at the Pulse, Vicky
Mm,
Wilson. Absolute legend of the game. And so being able to work with her, solidifying like a really strong and consistent shooting technique was one of my main focuses. And so making sure that I worked really hard on that to then try and transfer it into the ANZ season. And it was just about backing it up each game. And with that, I mean, it's a lot of the off-court stuff that people don't see. So
mm.
putting in extra work, like there's that saying, practice makes perfect. And honestly, like in this situation, that's basically how it worked. Not that it's perfect yet, but it definitely got better. And I feel just with putting in lots of time myself, having that support from Vicky as well definitely helped with getting that consistent routine so that I could perform with some really good stats for my team this season. And then in terms of movement and like other areas of being able to be available in the court and stuff, I think that came with just incorporating that into training as well with from our coach Anna, but also
Mm.
training it down from the international season with Ferns, being able to get a little bit more experience under my belt. I didn't play heaps in the international season last year, but still being able to be in that environment, training with all of the girls and learning as well. I definitely think that helped me in the ANZ space too.
Yeah, because I think definitely this year, individually, you were one of the standouts. And, with the Pulse season that you guys had, I'm sure that you guys will be slightly disappointed with the end result, coming third in the end after last year. But you also can't necessarily, there were so many challenges that you guys had to face as well with injuries and whatnot. So I would kind of love to hear what your overall assessments of the Pulse was this season.
Yeah, I think like you said, after last season, losing that final by one, it was definitely a shame that we couldn't get to that final moment in the finals, but we're
Mm,
happy with ourselves that we got to the final series. The elimination final was a good game for the first half from us. But
yeah.
yeah, overall, our season, we although it didn't go the way that we had liked, that's just how sport works. And I think, like you
Mm,
said, we face so many challenges in terms of injury, and we faced that last season too. And honestly, the Pulse, if anything, are the team to rise like above those kind of challenges. And so we knew
mm,
that when it came, we'd had a couple weeks of losing, which was like a little bit out of character compared to the beginning of the season that we had. And so we
yeah.
knew that. When especially when Paris Mason went down, we were like, okay, we've got to knuckle down right now. We were playing the Stars, and we work for each other in our team. We're so connected, like off the court, which I
Mm,
think translates to our on-court performance as well. And so that's like a massive takeaway from our season this year is that, yeah, we just felt so connected as a playing group. And I think when it came to those crucial moments when we did lose Mace in that Stars game, we knew that, okay, this is crunch time now. We've got the Stars, and then we've got the Stars, and we had the Steel or something like that. Then we had the
yes.
Tactics, and then the Magic. And then so we knew that those are all crucial games. We had to win those games. And so that Tactics game was our first one, I think. And that was kind of the moment where we're like, okay, this is where it starts now. Like, yeah, the season has gone the way it has. We've got people out right
Mm,
now. Someone with an injured neck. We've got someone that's concussed at the moment. Tiana took time out as well. Some really crucial players in our team, right? But we also are lucky that
yeah.
we have depth on our bench, and depth on our side, that we were able to bring players through as well. Good opportunities for them as well. So I think overall we got to give people opportunities in unfortunate circumstances, but that's kind of
Mm,
how our playing group was really connected. And then yeah, in those crunch time moments, like that win against the Tactics at home was very pivotal for our team, gave us lots
yeah.
of confidence, and kind of helped us finish the season, despite that last little mishap by losing that elimination final at the end.
Yeah, the little blip, but I'm sure that, you guys will, rise above it depending on
Yeah.
how next season goes. And I know that, with 2026, there's so many changes for you guys as netballers, not only in New Zealand, but like the competition as a whole. So what are your thoughts going into 2026 on how everything is kind of panning out? Because I know listening to Inside Netball today, they talked about the New Zealand Player Association deal still is kind of going around, and they're still mulling around, and also a lot of people are getting offers from SSN. So kind of how are you viewing next season going?
So, great question. Next
Mm,
season, in all honesty, like it's starting to become a lot more clear, which is great, but it's taken a
good.
very long time, and it's actually been a very frustrating process, as
Yeah.
players, just because we've been kept in the loop, but like kind of. And so it's been pretty difficult, kind of just trusting our players association and and how they're working with the Netball New Zealand office as well, to obviously make the best possible outcome for us for next season. But yeah, it is still a little bit uncertain, but we know that there's an ANZ Premiership with 6 teams. There's
Yeah.
2 rounds. I think that's all public knowledge.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's going to be a lot of movement across teams next year,
Yeah.
especially with the exemptions being allocated for players to go overseas. It was kind of time for that to happen, especially
Yeah.
with how the season is looking. So yeah, I think that opportunity for players to go over there is super cool, but obviously that means that we will lose quite a few, not heaps, because we can't let
Mm,
them. But
yeah.
we will lose some crucial players in the ANZ Premiership. So I think it's just about how we can put together teams that are still representative of like the New Zealand netball that we like to play, making sure that it's still to a really high standard, which is totally going to happen because there's great players here. So although we're
Mm,
losing some, I think it's great for their journey, but I think in terms of the journey here, it will look a little bit different. But I think that's just exciting. Um, like to another aspect of it, I guess, is that, it's kind of like we've got next year. We know that there's little things happening with like the Australian broadcasting deal that might potentially end next year. So there could be
yeah.
like that there's always chat about that. And
Mm.
so who knows what that looks like. But yeah, next season is reasonably certain with slight uncertainties, but it'll be exciting. There's lots of movement, there's lots of change. This ANZ season was so cool in terms of engagement, having that 2 point
Mm.
in there, the timeouts, like it's the game is definitely becoming a lot more innovative in New Zealand as well, which I think is super exciting. So if we can keep the fan engagement, we can keep some good netball being played, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this season was, as you mentioned, those new innovations were very exciting, but also I think a lot of the young players stood up as well. Like I really like seeing the growth of like Kara Sty, and Catherine Hall, but then also you saw like new players come in, like Sophia at the Mystics. So I think, there's obviously, I think we're expecting not circulating rumors, but there are some players going over to SSN that haven't been announced yet. So there is going to be a few, but there's still so much talent here. So definitely still very exciting for next year. And I'm glad that you guys have a bit more certainty around what's going on. And I mean, yeah, when I do these interviews with you guys, I love learning a bit about the player themselves, not just you guys on the netball court. And I mean, with how well spoken you are, it's no surprise that you're doing a Bachelor of Communications, doing digital marketing and journalism. No problem. So what kind of piqued your interest in digital marketing?
Yeah, that's honestly a great question because sometimes I ask myself that question as well. If I wasn't playing netball, I would have
Mm.
gone and studied architecture because I just love that
Oh.
realm. So I think it was about, okay, I can't do that because I can't study full time like that. You have to be on campus and all of this kind of stuff
Mm.
alongside to make a netball career out of myself as well. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
well, what's next? It wasn't like a plan B. Well, I guess
Yeah.
it kind of was. It was kind of like, okay, what can I make work that I would actually be really interested in? I've always been really like I just love doing like artsy stuff, like something I've
Mm.
would say that I'm reasonably creative. And
Yeah.
so I feel like it was kind of, yeah, trying to figure out. I was honestly just researching. I was like, okay, what kind of degree can I do this and this? Like I love
Mm.
the social media side of things. I love like I would love to take digital marketing down the realm of like um webs like looking after websites and creating campaigns and all of that
Oh,
stuff. Whether that I love fashion, so I'm like that could be through
yeah.
like a little fashion thing. I would love to help do some digital marketing for like a smaller netball club and rise them above. Like that's kind of what I was
Mm.
looking at. So I was like, once I
Mm.
realized digital marketing is a degree I could do, then I was kind of thinking, well, what could I do with it? And then I was like, this is so exciting. So then I was like, let's just do it. Massey, I study through
Mm.
Massey University and they're super, super accommodating to athletes. I study through distance
Oh.
too. So wherever I am, if I'm in Gibraltar at the World Youth Cup or wherever, I can do my
Mm.
do it part-time and they're honestly super great. So it's all worked out really well. But yeah, I don't know if that really answers your question, but
Oh, 100% it does. And I think university, I guess, like for me included, I tried so many different things. So it's totally makes sense why you're able to pick so many different things. And I was going to mention as well, just because, you and Maddie Gordon and Paris Mason somehow end up all over my TikTok feed sometimes with, your dances and whatnot. So it makes sense why you guys are doing digital marketing. But I know that you are from Auckland originally and that you went to Howard College. So, kind of how important were they? Not only because I know you guys lived together as well for a little bit. So, being that adjustment period, going from Auckland as a young 18, 19-year-old to then going down to Wellington.
yeah. So when I went down to Wellington, I didn't live with them at first.
Yeah.
So I lived in the city. I was literally 17. I had to apply for um the acceptance to go through the border because we were still in COVID during
Oh,
that time.
yeah.
So I was meant to drive down I drove down so I could have a car down there. I was meant to drive down with my mum and then I couldn't because I was leaving Auckland and I was contaminated or whatever they thought. And so I didn't have
Yeah.
COVID, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I went down and yeah, all of the girls were super welcoming. I lived in the city to begin with, and honestly, coming from Auckland, I live in beachlands like East Auckland, so by the beaches. Like I love
I
city.
I live in
And
Clevedon when I'm in Auckland, so I know the area.
the exact, yeah. So moving to the city, I was right off Cuba Street. It was quite intimidating
Mm,
for a little 17-year-old that never lived out of home before.
crazy.
And was interesting, but then the next year I moved over to the Miramar side of Wellington,
Yeah.
which is to the beaches, and I found my favorite cafes, and like Maddie, Paris, and I, we spent a lot of time at Maddie's house in my first year. And so
Mm,
always joked about it, like, oh, like I wonder how fun would it be if we lived together, blah blah. And then it just worked out with her.
mm,
So that's how it happened. And so living together for the past, I think, 3 seasons, like that just makes a like a home away from home. Being able to go
mm,
living with some of your best mates. Honestly, sometimes people question it, being like, why do you live together? It's always netball, netball, netball. But I don't think people
mm.
realize how good of friends we are outside of just being teammates. And so
Yeah.
um that relationship that I have with those girls has just made being at the Pulse so much easier, and with the other girls as well, like I spoke about before, the playing team are just so connected, and I honestly have like lifelong friends in that team. Tiana Maturdo, she was the first person that picked me up when I um got to Wellington, and we went to a cafe, and she's
Oh,
honestly like a
cute.
big sister to me, like Whitney Soonis as well, like they're the best, honestly. And so for
Mm,
me, like was one of the most like important things, and that's what keeps me places. And so being able to go back to the Pulse for the past like 4 years that I have been, and being able to go back to those girls, the management side of things is so amazing too. The franchise is so well set up, so it has become a second home.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love to hear it. And I mean, because it is all about netball is, creating those strong teammate bonds and whatnot. And I know that, this year, as I mentioned before, you're going to have a big 2025. You're
Yeah.
currently the only confirmed international player that will be playing both the World Youth Cup and their top national sides. So are you just excited that, yeah, you are the only, there's no other so far. There's
Oh,
not Australia, they're all only under 21 athletes. So
yeah.
kind of being able to have all these opportunities, kind of how hard was it to kind of juggle which ones you wanted to do? Because there's also, the potential that you could have played a Tiny Jamison series in South Africa.
Yeah. Yeah, another great question. I went through like kind of a long process. I
Mm,
had so much support from the likes of Knowles, the Ferns
mm,
coach. Also speaking with Jules, who's the 21s coach as well.
yeah.
Um, reaching out to my parents for some advice. Talking to players who are Silver Ferns now or have been Silver Ferns and went to the World Youth Cup as well. People who missed out on the World Cup. So honestly, I did so
Mm,
much research
yeah,
to try
good.
and figure it all out. And then it kind of landed, like Knowles was so good in the sense that she never told me what to do, but she was kind of like implying, not, oh, yeah, kind of implying like, how good would it be if you can get the best of both worlds? And we are like, right, okay,
Mm,
let's make this happen. And so I worked really closely with Shaz, who is like the best physio ever. She's our Ferns
yeah,
physio, and Murph as well, who's our awesome trainer at Ferns too. And they worked together to create a calendar to see how
yeah.
it could play if I were to go to the World Youth Cup. Would it be possible for me to come back for Constellation Cup if that was in the idea of they'd want to select me, kind of thing, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff in terms of like a loading perspective, because obviously I've just come
Mm,
off a really busy ANZ season, going
yeah.
into the World Cup, and then also potentially some Ferns tours as well. And it kind of, long story short, worked out that I actually can make both of them work. It's going to be really
Yeah.
busy. Selected, I'll literally be coming straight back from World Youth Cup, have about a few days, and then straight into a Constellation Cup camp. And um, but again, the management are so good, and they're gonna like work me into it and make sure that I have a couple days off and all of that kind of stuff. So that's
Good.
not to worry. Like, it's all worked out really well. And so yeah, it was a hard decision to be like, okay, well, I'm taking myself out of the running for potential of like three opportunities with the Silver Ferns playing against South Africa. But when we were talking about lots of things and I was thinking about it all, like some of the girls explained the World Youth Cup as the highlight of their career, and they've been to
Mm,
World, that kind of stuff. And so the idea of playing in my age group for the last time, like
yeah.
I've been the youngest in a team for a very long time. So I think that's really cool. I think being able to represent the country in a different way is also really special.
Yeah.
Being able to be something massive we spoke about was being able to be, for me, to be exposed to a World Cup environment before
Yeah.
potentially opportunity to play in a silver, like a Netball World Cup. And so being able to gain that experience, like with Ferns, I may have been able to gain the experience of playing South Africa, but I'll be able to get that at the World Cup as well, World Youth Cup. I'll be able
Exactly.
to get among, along with maybe 20 other playing styles, which is going to be such great experience for me. It will help continue to grow me as a player and a person too. And then also in that space, like you said, I probably will be like one of the well, I am the most experienced player in that environment.
Mm,
And what I could do in terms of growing my leadership in ways, helping to potentially pass on some knowledge and help other players too, but also learning so much of other players as well. So there was lots to think about, but that's kind of where I landed in terms of
yeah.
why the why of why I would like to go to a World Youth Cup. And then fingers crossed, hopefully I've done enough to make myself, to give myself the option to play in the Constellation Cup as well, and then that Northern
Yeah.
Tour. But the idea that I can do both is so special. And the fact that I've had people working so hard behind the scenes to potentially make that happen, like it's based on selection now, but yeah, it could be a very busy second half of the year, but very exciting and one in a position that I'm very grateful to be in for sure.
Yeah, I know. I look at what you're going to be able to do. It's going to be incredible. And, you'll be one of the only few players that have been able to kind of achieve potentially all of those kinds of games throughout one season. And I mean, I talked to Katrina Rore a couple of weeks ago, and she said that her best experience was that she went to the World Youth Cup in 2005, and it was in Fort Lauderdale, of all places. Like, she was so confused why they were in America, firstly, to even play netball. But the fact that she got that World Cup experience early was really crucial to her. And I mean, with your team, it is quite an interesting mix of players. I mean, there's 6 players that played in the ANZ Premiership. Um,
Yeah.
and I think, looking at the team, the defensive end looks quite, if you watch the ANZ Premiership, you would kind of know how the pieces are going to kind of slot in a little bit. Where the shooting end, I think, is quite interesting because more of that depth is at that goal shooter position with you and Kate Taylor. So kind of how do you think the New Zealand team is going to look like, especially because I'm guessing that have you done a training session yet or anything like
Yeah.
that you guys have?
Been a
So
couple
kind of
games.
how was that first training session? And also, do you think you will be playing both positions, goal shooter, goal attack at the tournament?
Yeah, I'm definitely available as a goal shoot goal attack slide. That's a
Mm,
space I'm really excited to tap into as well. I've played a little bit in the ANZ. I think I got on court at goal attack for the Ferns
yeah,
last year as well. So I think that's a really exciting space. I definitely will. I am available, whatever the coaches decide, but they have let me know that I'm a goal shoot goal attack. So there's that as well. There is that leadership, I guess, or that experience down in that goal shoot position with Kate and I, but also those other girls involved in that like goal attacks position are really, really good players. And although maybe they
mm,
don't have that ANZ experience yet, they've got so much experience of, NNL, playing in big tournaments, all of that kind of stuff. So they're just as capable as well. So yeah, I guess they don't have that ANZ experience yet, but I think the team is looking really strong and I think it's super exciting. And this experience as well will only just add to those girls, their like netball resumes too. So I think,
100%.
yeah, I am going to be playing against both, most likely. I think
Mm,
potential for Kate to do that as well, I think. And then,
yeah.
yeah, those other girls that play in that goal attack position too, they're mean. So it will be all good.
Yeah, and I'm very excited for you guys as defending champions. So we'll see nothing short of success your guys' way. But yeah, fingers crossed. I know I always come across really biased during these episodes as a Kiwi because it's like Australian brand. So I'm like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I know that, with the Silver Ferns team as well, you just got announced. Obviously, we said that earlier, but you are now the second most experienced shooter in terms of test caps in that environment. I mean, there's a lot of experience that like Ignacio, Salvirica, Matilda, Wilson, that were all unavailable. So what do you think? Obviously, the players that you're bringing in are great talents, but what do you think you guys will need to do, you and Grace, especially with those test caps, kind of like bleed them in a little bit to not be almost overawed by what's going to be going on in that Silver Ferns environment?
Yeah, I think it's weird to think that I will be one of the most experienced in that shooting end too. I think between
Mm,
Grace It'll just be about, like leading by example and, trying to set a really high standard of, this is what being a shooter in the Ferns environment looks like kind of thing. Trying to hold a good standard, but also working those girls in how we can, making sure that, if we can really stand up and be dominant in our position, it'll make it their lives so much easier too. And
Mm,
so, yeah, being super supportive, answering questions where needed, making sure people fully understand set plays and all of that kind of stuff before we go into stuff so that they're not thrown into the deep end. Yeah, I think that kind of stuff's really important. But I think the main one will just be, trying to lead by example, trying to really, perform really well in our position, to show that, this is what it looks like. And like I said before, if we're doing our job right, then it should make their transition into that space really easy too. So yeah.
yeah. And I mean, in that Silver Ferns environment, I guess the goal shooter position's actually probably one of the more competitive positions we have in our team nowadays. I mean, like you and Grace are both like near world-class levels. So kind of how important is it for not only the Silver Ferns, but your guys' individual developments having that, in a competition to try and push for those game minute spots, and kind of what do you think you need to do to push for more consistent minutes as we head into pinnacle events?
Yeah, I think, well, the nature of sport is so competitive. And if you're not
Mm,
got people competing for that role, you might become too comfortable, and that's probably not a good thing. So I
mm,
think being able to have that healthy competition is really, really good. And um, for me to try and put my hand up for that, to gain some more minutes in that environment, I think it'll just be about showing that I do offer something slightly different. Knowles and I talk
mm,
about, I'll talk about Grace and I, and there's the other girls as well. But there is like we both do offer something different other than the fact, we both are holding shooters. However, there
mm,
are as well. So just showing how I can offer something different in that space. I think just consistently performing well is a really important thing too. I think it's not just consistently performing well, in front of the TV or in front of crowds or in the games. It's in trainings as well. Like a lot comes
yeah.
from training. And so, having that high standard in training to really put my hand up. But yeah, like I said, it's healthy competition. We're all good mates off the court, so it's just we all want the best for each other. But at the end of the day, everyone also wants that bib. So it's
Mm.
competition, but it's great, and it just only teaches you so much as a person, but also as a player too.
Yeah. And I mean, for a final question, I mean, like you are going to have a full career ahead of you, and I'm really excited to see kind of how your career goes for highlights. Usually, this podcast is actually focusing on career highlights, but I think there's just so much going on in your 2025 that it's hard not to talk about it. But I think my final question for you would be, with all these changes in netball, it looks to be like a sport that's like growing exponentially very quickly all of a sudden. So, what do you think? I guess for yourself, maybe it's an individual goal or like a netball focus, like you want them to go to the Olympics or whatnot. But what's your number one personal goal that you have that you want to achieve within netball?
Wow, that's a good question. um or obviously there's lots of like mini goals, there's short-term goals,
Mm,
long-term. But if I were to say like one really big long-term goal that I'd love to achieve before I finished my netball career, that would be to go to a World Cup.
yeah,
Obviously time, but to win it. So that would be definitely a massive goal of mine, would to be involved in a World Cup and win one.
yeah,
Not to all
awesome.
three if you can, but
Yeah,
that would be a goal of mine.
yeah. I'll pray that we're winning all of them just for you. Well, thank you so much for your time. I mean, yeah, it's been a great to chat with you, and yeah, good luck with all of 2025, and I hope for nothing but success.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.